Brothers and sisters. Yes, we got Mark back again.
Oh,
Mark,
not
say
that
hi to
guy.
everybody.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, how you doing?
Say hi, Kate.
You're
Yep. Okay.
muted.
We don't have Kate's audio, so you have to work on it, Kate. So Kate just did the lip sync. Hi, everybody. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and welcome to our Wednesday night CNC hangout. And once again, we have Mark back. So really glad you are enjoying coming back and hanging out with us on a Wednesday evening.
This is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, it's nothing but a big family, and I like that we all just chew the fat and stuff, and try to answer some questions and help some people out. You know, so I listed this thing this morning. No, it was this afternoon. It looks like you were one of the first people that said, "Hey, I'm
Yeah, I
here."
was I,
Yeah,
I was third, and
you were third.
it kind of chapped my cheeks a little bit because I wanted to be
Not yet.
first, but I
Right.
forgot and didn't jump over and get in there and say two people beat me. So it's like, what can I say?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So Sam Campbell's the first one. He's the winner of tonight. Lots of static going on, Kate.
Lots of static.
Static.
Don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
lots of static. She'll keep working on it. She'll get it. Kate probably is just running back from dropping her kids off somewhere and
Yeah.
coming in. So, what's going on the West Coast, there, Mark? Let's chew the fat a little bit, and then we'll start talking to our brothers and sisters here.
Fall is here. It's the typical Oregon. It's wet. It's rainy. It's not super cold, but it's autumn in Oregon. You know, you can splash around out in the yard and have a good old time if you want.
Right,
But
right.
I've been working
Splash on
on
the earth.
basically non CNC projects for the past probably month, and getting down to the end. I mean, the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. We're going to be okay.
Not the train coming at you. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Here in Indiana, the weather was perfect today. Perfect. Comfortable, just at that t-shirt level, kind of, sort of. You can just hang out there. And
Yeah.
I've been working on a design today. Um, stack text testing this new router bit that I'm going to be putting out, the
Okay.
little roughing bit, an 1/8 inch roughing bit. We call it
Okay.
the Badger.
The Badger.
And
Okay.
yeah, I've tested out a 1/4 inch deep at 180 inches per minute. It does just fine through oak.
Nice.
So yeah, quite nice. All right, well, I was going to say hello to some people here. First of all, we got Sam. Sam is the winner of showing up first. Sam, congratulations! You get the booby prize. We'll have to come up with prizes for the first winners. For those who jump on first? Then we have Oz. Hey, Oz, another regular. Hey, there's Mark Lindsay. He showed up too.
Not that
And
guy.
yeah, I know. He's a thorn in my side.
Yeah.
George, you popped on and yard sale. That's Harold. And Harold, thank you, Harold. He contributed $20. Harold, thank you very, very much. Um, yeah, so what he did was just below the video on the IDC channel is there's like a little, I think it's a little money icon, and that's how you can contribute, donate for us setting aside some time helping you out. And it's just your way to say thank you. Thank you, Harold, very, very much. And I do see you have a question there. We'll get to that one in a little bit. Want to say hi to some others. Bart is back. Bart with a very cool design around his name. He told me a couple years ago how he did that. I got to get back into that. And Ellen is here, Madra. Um, we got Randy's woodworking and Oz. Okay, now we're buzzing through. These are everybody that showed up really early. Gary and Jim, Marcus. Hello, Jack in the shop. Jack is a regular. Is Jack a regular on your channel too?
I see him quite often. Yeah,
Jack in the shop.
not 100% of the time, but people have lives.
This guy
So,
took a benchtop CNC router
uh-huh.
and turned it into a plasma cutter.
Hey. Sometimes that's what it's all about.
It still blows me away.
Yeah.
And so there's Lyndon and John Thomas, Wooden Tobacco is back again. Hey, Brian, Richard, and Carolyn, Dave. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Dave, there you are again. And Chris Fisher, Frazier, Frappier.
Hey,
I'm not
can
sure
you
how
hear
you
me, Mark?
pronounce. There we
Yes, I
go.
can.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
say
y'all.
hello, Kate.
Hey, y'all. How's it going? Oh, I saw Mark's line. I always say hey,
That's
y'all, too.
fine.
'Cause I'm from Tennessee, too. Or from Tennessee
Right.
anyway. Hi. It's nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of a rat
I
race tonight.
I don't own that word, so go for it.
Oh,
I see you're wearing your Women Who CNC
yeah.
hat.
So this is some new swag that we've got. I actually got an extra one, and I kind of wanted to show it off a little bit. I don't know what's going on with my lighting today, but it says Women Who CNC. It's got our little infinity symbol. It's really cute. It's a trucker hat. I actually have had these made from another maker. His name is Sam over at Uncharted Customs, and I saw that he was doing a story on hats and patches and things like that. And instead of going with a big brand name company to make gear for us, I saw him doing it and reached out to him, and he said that he would be more than willing to make them. So I was really excited to see these, but these are going to be really affordable. I'm going to be posting them up on the website as a pre-sale. So that way people are pre-order, so that way the women can go ahead and pre-order them because they are custom. So I'm just really excited to have some new merch out.
Hey,
Something different.
Super
sweet.
cool.
Another maker is we're supporting another maker, so I love that.
That's something, Mark, you said some time ago. Support those who support you. All right.
Mhm.
And
Well,
when
you
go
know where
ahead.
I got that from?
Where?
I got that from your video.
Oh
You
yeah?
you posted a rant. It's been a while back about,
Yeah.
these big companies and this, that, and the other, and there are smaller companies that are all part of the CNC community. You mentioned yourself, you mentioned Cody, you mentioned a few other
Sky One.
people,
Yeah.
Sky One. And look, these are the people who support us. These are the people who are part of our community.
Yep.
This is how they feed their families. The people with these big companies, Vortex Tool, or I mean, pick one,
Yeah.
they don't care if you succeed or not.
Mhm.
Whereas the people within the community are out to try to help you succeed. And that stuck with me. So I kind of snatched that, and I didn't make it a tagline or anything, but I do throw it out there. Support the people that support you.
Right.
You
Right.
betcha.
And truer
Yeah.
Yeah.
words have never been spoken. So I got that from you, man.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that
love
was
that.
a
That's
video.
cool.
That was a video I made about a year ago, and
Mhm.
that thumbnail said I'm pissed, and I was pissed.
Mhm.
Someone's. It was just yeah. Man. I get the white side. Where the hell you ever see them in the communities trying to help you out,
Mhm.
answering your emails, taking your phone calls? Me, you, Kate, we're there. We're helping
Mhm.
people out.
That's right.
So
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, let's start to dive in. Oh, I got something. I got to show everybody first that I
Mm-mm.
have
Well, yeah.
just finished up. How many times you guys seen people chuck up router bits, being brand new and not really understanding the rules behind chucking up router bits, right? And then they end up
The
breaking them. Right? They'll try to stick it way at the top and they have a ton of router bit hanging out. Just try to get that
Mhm.
depth. They end up snapping the thing. It pops out of their collet. And I've seen that
yeah.
enough where people have broken bits that I finally have decided to solve that. And I now have
Oh,
a table that is coming
Very
out.
cool.
It's going to be a sticker that I'm going to start ship out with new products, and it's
there you
got
go.
the rule of thirds on it about chucking your router bits and the do's and don'ts. Like make sure you
Very
leave some
nice.
leave some breathing room at the top of your collet. Don't jam that bit all the way up in there.
Yeah.
So I will make that available, and I will send that out to the CNC Insiders list shortly, and I'm going to put a pop-up on my website so you can download that.
Can I throw something at you real quick? If
Sure.
you look at certain brands of bits, look at the shank. You'll see what looks like the letter K.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the letter K. That's a line with an arrowhead. That line is where you put your bit that up into that collet to that line, then tighten it down.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what that is. That's a
Yeah,
line to
certain
let you
brands.
know where that is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing on bits.
Yeah. I'll probably be getting that on the IDC Woodcraft bits as well, because it's a very handy reference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Mark, me being, just me being me and me being extra, I would have been like, "Hey, it's a K. It was made for me." No,
That's what it looks like.
I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing. I'm not that ditzy, but I'm just saying, I'm just keeping
Yeah.
it real. I'd been like, "Hey, it was made for me. That was so
Well,
nice of them to put my initial
That's
on it."
funny. Yeah, personalized router bits.
Well, somebody asked me, what does this letter K mean? And I looked at it and I said, I don't know. What does that letter K mean? So now, kind of like the dad teaching the kid the alphabet, that's A. Why? Now I got to go look it up. So I had to go research and find out that that's not a letter K. That's a line where you put that in, put the bit in the
Oh my
collet up to
gosh.
that line and then tighten it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will tell you something interesting on a side note on the collet and the bits on the new Makita router, because y'all know I had that fire here, a few weeks back. When I got the new Makita router, the collet was so loose, literally I could I could drop the bit and it would just like slide through. And I tried it with the IDC bits, I tried it with my Amana bits, I tried it with all of them, and I was like, what is going on with this collet? Like I mean, I held it up because I'm getting ready to release another video, and I showed it in the video because I was like, I'm getting ready to check the bit, and I'm like, what the world? Like, this isn't even holding it. So I actually had to dig out my old collet from the router that caught fire, and I had to use that one again because I was like, I can't even use this thing. This is ridiculous.
Get a hold of
So
them. They should ship you a new one. Get a hold of them. I mean,
yeah, I will.
if it's that new, get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll do that. But I just thought
Absolutely.
I'd put that out there for anybody who's, maybe brand
Mhm.
new and has a new Makita and they're like, why is this collet so loose? It's not supposed to be like that.
Right.
I even held it up in the video and you can see that there's at least a good 1/16 of an inch wider in the
Wow,
new
that
one
much?
versus the
Wow,
older.
that is a lot.
That's a lot. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk using this because I'll have
No.
a bit slip or something and it's not worth it. So
Yeah. I've started
anyway,
stocking 1/8 collets, having them specially made, and I'm going to be stocking 1/4 inch replacement collets as well for the Makita.
that'll be good. That'll be real
All
good.
right. Well, let's
You heard
start
it here
popping through
first.
some of these. So we're just going to give Sam the shout out. He should get a prize for that. So here's his prize. He's the first person on the board. Sam the
Yeah.
man. All right. So he gets the first timer prize.
Good job.
And
Good job.
yeah. And so we got to go. Let's see.
Who else we got
Harold.
here?
Harold. We got a Harold here. He said a dumb question. Harold, no question is a dumb question. Mark, tell him.
The only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
That's right. I see your file. Oh, on Etsy, but I have no idea how to use them. Well, I can't really explain that here, but the files on Etsy all have instructions. So IDC Woodcraft has some digital files on Etsy, and those files have instructions. You have to unzip the files though. And that seems to be a little thing I run into. People, many people aren't computer literate enough to know that they have to decompress the files first. So if you get a zipped file, you simply right click. It looks like a folder or one of those big paper folders, and it's got a zipper right through the middle of it. If you
Yeah.
right click that, a menu will open up, and on that menu it says extract all. And click the OK button, and it'll extract those files to normal working files, and it'll put them in a little private directory.
You
And
betcha.
yeah. That's one of the drawbacks to having digital files out there. You do get a lot of questions.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
okay. It's a good question though.
Yeah.
All
Oh, there's
right.
Harold.
Harold
Okay.
says, challenge anyone. Let's all show support for Garrett and Kate. See the money sign below.
Oh, there you go. All right. We were just talking
Well,
about that. Julian
well,
was
thank
very
you,
kind to
Harold.
start that one. So we got Julian in the background. Julian is the administrative coordinator for IDC Woodcraft. She is a guru when it comes to organization and keeps me straight. And so she's in the background keeping things managed and throwing out comments
Yes.
to us and what have you. And she's also talking on the side to us, right? So guys, pay attention to the internal comments. So she'll let us know if there's
Got it.
something we need to see. One of the rules, just so everybody knows, IDC Woodcraft has a zero tolerance policy for bullshit and assholes. So we see nasty comments, you will be booted off of this channel. No questions. We're not going to say anything. You're just going.
Peace be with you.
All right. All right. All right, Kate.
All
Take
right.
it away.
So we've got Randy's Woodworking. What is the best lubricant to use on my Laguna screws? I'm gonna let one of you all take that. I think we've covered this a few times, but this
I
is a
would
great
call.
question.
I would call Laguna and ask them. I mean that's
Yeah.
the manufacturer. They're the ones that are going to specify the proper oil to put on that machine. So that's where you get the best answer. Call
Yep.
Laguna. And they got a staff. They got a big staff. I was at the AWFS show. Mark, you weren't there.
Nope, I couldn't. Once I moved from Nevada, I don't go back to Vegas.
Okay. Okay. And Laguna was there, and they literally had a whole staff. They got a lot of machines, a lot of different kinds of machines. I didn't realize
Yes.
Laguna was that big.
Oh yeah, they make a lot more
can't-
than CNC routers. They make all kinds of machines.
Right. Yeah, I
Wow.
realize that now. Yeah, they were one of those companies that almost when I was there, it almost felt like they fit into that big company category. Where the little guys aren't, oh, you're just little, you're not that big of a deal kind of feel.
Mm.
That was
To
just
a
a feel. I
point,
don't know.
yeah.
I didn't really have time to talk to him. So I
Right.
need to really retract that because I can't really say I didn't have time to talk to him. I apologize for saying that.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a great question here from Richard. Hello, Richard. He says, hello again from Rockland, California, Sacramento. Question, when I do a V-carve lettering, how can I tell Vectric to do a last cleanup pass like 0.005? Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but in V-carve, there is no way to set up a last pass in V-carving.
No, there really isn't. You would have to do that as your own separate tool path if you wanted to. But what I do personally is I just run the V-carve twice, and you would be amazed at how much just running it twice will clean out. Now, obviously, if it's a 6-hour V-carve, it's easy for me to say, but
Yeah.
it's going to carve as deep as it needs to carve at any given piece of the V carving, and there really isn't a way to unless you go back and cheat it and tell it it's 5/1000ths of an inch higher than it actually is, then it'll go back and do it again. But personally, I just run the V-carve tool path twice, and it does
Yeah.
make a big difference.
It really
I
does.
actually just did that today I've got a name sign, like they hang it out by their mailbox. It's in walnut, it's a couple inches thick, and it's got their name like really deep, the true V carve. And it was about a 12-minute carve, and I just ran it again twice, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
now I don't have to do all that cleanup work. That's so nice.
Right. Yeah.
So
Something else is go down to your corner drugstore or big box store, whatever. Go over to the dental aisle and pick up a denture brush. Not a regular
yes.
toothbrush, but a denture brush. It's got a real wide, tall head on one side and kind of an odd, almost like a ball shape on the other side. And the big bristles are firmer, stiffer than the that smaller rounded area bristles. And that'll help a lot as well.
Interesting.
So,
Hadn't thought about that, but
and use that brush and it will clean out a lot of gunk. I
Okay.
think I have
That's
one.
probably what they're intended for.
Yeah. I've got one somewhere. There we go.
Look at them. There it is.
Well, this is a 4-step garage. I can find anything in 4 steps if it's in here.
I
That's
love
a
that.
denture brush. So, and these bristles are stiffer than these bristles.
Okay.
But
Okay.
these bristles, you'll get in there and get into the real tiny, tiny things, and they're a couple bucks, if that.
Yeah.
The other thing I've used are those little Dremel brushes. Like they're like Scotch Brite on
Mhm.
the end of a little Dremel tip.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. Those work pretty good, but they don't last very long. I'll have to
Yeah.
try one of those denture
You really
brushes.
have to turn the speed down. You really have to turn the speed way down, because I was whizzing through those like 30 seconds and it's gone. I'm changing, putting
Gone.
3 more on them. You really
I
have to turn the
did,
speed down.
yeah, I did come across one that seemed to last a lot longer. I'm not sure if it was a different brand. I'm assuming they're all coming from the same place.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
was actually in Woodcraft, I don't know, here a few days back or whatever, and I saw they almost look like they kind of look like one of your like carpenter pencils, but it has sandpaper that goes around the edges of it.
Mhm.
But I looked at those little like pencils and they were like $25 for like 2 or 3 of these little bitty things with like sandpaper wrapped around the it basically looks like a belt sander with sandpaper all the way around. So then that way you could like use it on any edge, but it had the pointed tip. Like,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh man, that would be great for like, getting in and out of like sharp areas. But I was like, there is no way I'm paying $25 for a little sandpaper scratchy thing. So I went on Amazon and I found them and they're a lot cheaper.
Harbor Freight.
So,
Interesting.
Harbor Freight, yes.
Harbor Freight.
I have I bought a really nice spindle sander from there that I use
Mhm.
when in need. It's not a tool
Mhm.
that I use a lot, but when I need it, I'm like, oh, that I need that.
Right.
I got one.
It's really
I
good.
got one too.
I love those
Do
things.
you? All right.
All
we
right,
got
what's
another
up?
one.
All right, hey Dave. Says I started something new to me in woodworking. I am starting to harvest my own wood for projects. I bought an Alaskan mill and a couple nice big chainsaws.
Oh, sweet.
Very
Dave.
cool.
That is very cool.
You're going to have
Has-
yourself a full-fledged business if you're not careful.
Yeah. Have you ever milled your own CNC projects, Mark?
Nah, not CNC projects. No, I have milled my own lumber. Now I cannot say that. Yes, I have. You have to go back a few years. I made some wood lids that screw onto a mason jar for my wife,
Okay.
and that was in my 2-sided machining video. The wood that I used was some wood that I sawed over in Hawaii. Storm came
Ooh.
through and knocked a big old huge branch down, and we cut it up with a chainsaw and I let it dry. And I've been carrying it around for 20 plus years. I figure it's dry enough. I need to start using it. So I did kind of sort of mill
Probably
that.
fair.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
but other than that, no, because I just don't have the space to store it once it's been cut.
Right.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of room. It takes a lot of space to do that.
Okay. Okay. I just had a thought. A friend of mine, he has some coasters. So this is for anybody here who is selling stuff and you want to make a couple quick projects. If you can find a nice branch that's about that big around,
Mhm.
you just cut it up into cookies or what cut across the grain, and there you've got coasters, and you just burn a little something on it if you want. Super quick, and
Yeah.
you sell them for $20 a set, man. I mean,
I made a set of 8 of them, and then engraved "I was Groot." You have to go back
I
quite
love
a
those
ways
movies.
to get that, and yeah, they were a hit.
Yeah.
that's funny.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that. Love
Yep.
those movies. All right. We've got a great question here from John. It says, in G-Sender, when using multiple workspaces for jigs, if I use any other workspace than number 1 for my XY0 G-Sender, will this revert to number 1 at the end of running a file? Is there a setting to prevent this?
So the reason it goes back to, so number one is, so this all has to do with your work offset codes. All right, you have a G54, G55, G56, 57, 58, and 59. And those are the workstations that you are referencing. It looks, I'm guessing from this that you're referencing off that first station, and everything is being referenced off that first station. Is that the way you guys interpret this?
Yeah. Now, let me preface this by saying I don't know GSender.
Yeah, GSender is just it's Mach 3 in its own form, basically. It's
Okay.
it's router control software.
So if he uses any workspace other than number 1 for his XYZ0, GSender will revert to number 1 at the end of running a file. So it doesn't matter if he's in another space. If I use any other workspace than number 1, it will revert to number 1. So if he uses anywhere else, it goes back to, okay, and he's adding more info down here. He says, yes, if I use G55, it reverts back to G54.
Oh, so it must default back then. I'll have to play with GSender a little bit to
Okay.
see if it's automatically defaulting.
Right below that, Jimbo Jones said, I just had that issue. If your G code has M2 in the code, it will reset everything back to G54.
I'm going to write that down and play with it a little bit.
Yeah, let me pop that up.
GSender.
So there's Jimbo. He just is what he's talking about.
GSender. Okay, you can pick up the next question, but I'm going to play with that. So basically, let's just reiterate what Mark said. If you're the GSender software and most control software defaults to G54 when you turn it on, and you have to have a code in the G code at the top, or you can actually have it anywhere, but you want it at the top. That if you're using G55 like a second jig position, then you want to use a new work offset, and that would be G55. And so basically you're telling the machine, we have multiple 0 reference points, and those codes are set for all those different reference points as work offset codes. And so when there's an M02 at the end of the command, it's telling it to revert back to G54 when everything's done. So did I understand that right?
That's what I understood.
Okay.
I use Mach 4, and the post processor doesn't put any commands in there at all. I go in and I select. For instance, I have 2 known work positions on my table, a G55 and a G56.
Okay.
And if I'm using the location all the way to the far left of the machine, that's G55. I'll just go into a tab and tell it it's in the G55 offset, set my Z0 and go. If I'm using G56, I go into Mach 4 and I set the G56 work offset, set my Z0 and go. My X and Y0 are predetermined by those 2 work locations.
Okay. Okay. And you have a homing sequence on your machine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So one of the other things when you're using multiple work locations, you need to have a homing sequence on your machine, because the machine needs to know its own reference point to know where these workstation offsets are at.
Yeah. In fact, I use the Avid screen set for Mach 4, and it won't let me do about half of the things I need to do until I home my machine.
Mm-hmm.
And all I do is I rapid my gantry all the way up, move my X all the way over, bring my Z up close to the top, hit home XYZ, and it takes about 6 seconds. And it's done. Then I just move the gantry out of my way, mark my material, go into G55 offset, and go.
Okay. All right. I will play with that one tomorrow.
It's a very thorough answer.
Yeah. So the post processor is probably plugging in. Is probably automatically plugging in the M02 command, and what that means is you have to either edit the post processor to change it to an M0, right? is M0 the end of the program, or M0 is a pause? I think it's temporary stop.
I know. Man,
I'll have to
I'm gonna have
refresh.
to look for some G code.
Yeah, well, yeah, or you'll have to get in the program and
This
edit.
says this is pretty.
I gotta find some.
Yeah.
Well, don't wait for me. I don't know where I'm looking.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next question so we can tackle here. So we've got Billy. Hi, sir. How do we download the 100 or 1001 fonts to Vectric VCarve list? I'm not very good with computer stuff. It'll go easy on me.
Okay.
Well, I know on the IDC Woodcraft Insiders list email list, Garrett sent out a really cool email about 1001 fonts. So Garrett, you want to kind of dive into this a little bit?
Yeah. So I sent an email out to the CNC Insiders, and I sent them links to several fonts, several sites where they can get free fonts. And one of those is 1001fonts.com. Another one is dafonts.com. And then you can also go to Google Fonts, and they all have free fonts. When you download a font, you've got to go to your download folder, right click. Well, I think you have to it may come to you as a zipped file. So you have to unzip it. So you have to right click it, extract all, then go into that folder, click that, right click that file that's in that folder, and you'll see the word install. And when you click that, it's going to install that font on your computer as if it's a normal font on the computer, like Word or some Excel. And then you have to relaunch your Vectric software, and it will show up in the Vectric software font list.
Yes. And just a quick side note, I know that they're, Billy, we're asking, how do we download one font to the Vectric VCarve list? You have to individually download each font that you want. There is no way to just do a font. You have to literally manually go and download each font, zip, install. I will tell you, just someone who's been a sign maker for so many years, when I'm looking at certain fonts, one of the key things that you want to do is actually write them down like a hunk of paper. So that way, when you're downloading them, you can like cross them off in your download. You're not read the same file and download, because sometimes it just gets to be a little hectic when you're downloading multiple. I think I will comment really quickly on fonts and a CNC. The biggest difference is make sure that your fonts are wide enough. Don't pick really skinny fonts or really super skinny fonts with, especially for script, because the problem with that when you do a VCarve is it will barely go in and touch it. It almost looks like it's scratching the surface and then dive down into it. So develop your fonts when you're choosing to make sure they have clean lines. It's not super busy. And then additionally, always make sure you check your curve fit tool. I actually just did a sign. I was so frustrated with the font that I actually downloaded, because it was with one of the Vectric fonts, but when I went to carve it, it did that. It did too many nodes carved, up and down, back and forth. And when I carved my, I was like, great. Now I have to go back and either clean this up, sand, use the spindle sander, try to soften those curves on some letters, and it was just really frustrating. So always make sure you check your curve fit tool you're using particular fonts to make sure it's not too packed with nodes. It's going to slow your carving time down as well. So
I'll second that.
But to make sure when you're downloading fonts, those are a couple key things to look for, because there's a little more to it than what meets the eye when you're fonts for a particular font. So, little side note there for you.
I concur
All right.
100%. And also another thing to watch out for is it's very, very easy to load up your computer with fonts you will never, ever, ever use, even if you think they look cool. So, and the more fonts you have, when you click that draw text icon, like mine, I've got a little over 1,500 fonts on my computer, and I really don't need them. But other software I have installed fonts. So I have those plus the ones I use, plus the ones that came with Windows, plus the ones that came with every other software title. So everything that installs a font is available for use in Aspire. So it'll take up to a minute for that font list to load before I can start typing in the draw text.
Mhm.
So sometimes I have to go in and just clear out a bunch of fonts that I haven't used in a while. So
Yeah, and that's another lesson. It's probably a video, Mark, but I've never had the demand for that. But yeah, we lost Kate there. Her connection was getting a little unstable, and so she dropped off. She'll come on back. Yeah, I gotta agree. I've loaded up a ton of fonts on my computer now. When you're trying to find a font, you got this ridiculously long list of fonts,
yeah.
and it can be tedious. You load fonts sparingly.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
don't be afraid to uninstall them. Don't be
yeah,
afraid to take them, to get rid of them.
yeah.
And you get rid of them the same way you installed them. You go to that font in your Windows fonts folder, right click it, uninstall. Don't be afraid
Yep,
to get rid of it.
exactly. Yep, because you can overload yourself way too quick. All right,
Mhm.
Charlie. Is there an application that transfers pictures, etc., in CNC acceptable format like DXF? You want to
Not that
talk
I
about
know
it?
of. Not
Mhm.
a one button click this and your picture's now a usable vector. And if you come across that program, please let us all know, because all of
Yeah,
us want it. Um, uh, uh, just about every kind of a digital imaging or digital graphics program and CAD CAM software has some form of bitmap tracing or path creation. Some are better than others, but sometimes you just got to get in and trace it by hand. Sometimes there is no easy one size fits all solution. Um,
there you go. Yeah. Um, Kate, you got anything to add to this?
uh, well, I kind of missed what you guys said. So, no for right now.
Okay.
Uh, no, not at the moment. I was just kind of watching some of the live comments come in, because normally, guys, I'm watching for questions, but because we have Julianne in the background, she's been helping us out with that. So there is one thing I did want to bring to your attention about the fonts. I just want to circle back to that. So Jen brings up a really great comment. It says, just watch for the free font sites that you check if they're free for personal use or for commercial use. A lot of them are only for personal use, so make sure you
right.
check the rules.
Hmm.
Just as a side note on this, if you're unfamiliar with this rule, so commercial fonts you will basically need to pay for their license to use that particular font. And then for personal use, like if you're making something for yourself, like let's say you just want to make a one-time project for your husband or for your wife or whatever it is, that's what's considered a personal use. But if you're using it for, you know, using that font to replicate projects and sell them, you need to read. Sometimes there's like a PDF associated with the font, and they can tell you where to purchase that, because it's basically like you're stealing somebody's work without paying them for it. So just something to be mindful of.
And also know that just because you have purchased a license to use that font, if that font includes trademarked items, doesn't give you the right to use that trademark.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's completely different, because I'm sure everybody's heard of dingbats or web dings, whatever you want to call them. Those are
Yeah.
scalable vector graphics, and you can find dingbats on all kinds of websites that have like, Futurama characters or Star Wars characters. Those are still covered by trademark.
Yes, they
Just
are.
because you downloaded that font doesn't mean you can use that trademark. you will still get a nasty gram from whoever holds the copyright or whoever
Mhm.
holds the rights to that.
Yeah, and that brings
So,
up another point, right? And in the Facebook groups, we have file sharing. And I've seen it
Yeah.
enough times to warrant mentioning that sometimes we'll have a file that will be swapped around or we'll buy, and then someone, hey, can you have the file? Yeah, I'll upload it, right? And you're uploading somebody else's file that they have built and they have sold to somebody, and they're earning a living off of it, right? So we
Yeah.
have to honor that, right? I
Mhm.
just bought a font for $49, a commercial license for that 2 days ago, right?
Yep.
Because you got to honor that. If you want to have a good business and you want to have a business with integrity, you got to
Yeah,
honor the integrity of other business people. Just
Absolutely.
absolutely.
yeah.
None of us
Speak-
would none of us would work for free. It's unreasonable for us to expect other people to.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely. Just be honest. Do the right thing. I tell my kids this all the time. This little phrase all the time. It's called take the next right step. Just take the next right step. Be a good human being when you go out into the world. Do the right thing, even
Yeah,
when no one's looking. Just
Hmm.
do the right thing.
exactly.
So
That's
And
the
this
definition
is
of integrity.
you're a much better human being later on in life
Mhm.
and as you're growing, because we're always
That's
growing.
that's the definition of integrity, doing the right thing even when you know nobody's watching.
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you from a business perspective. So, is if we just said it in one way, I'm going to say it another way. If we're stealing off of somebody, we're going to get stolen off of. We're not
Mhm.
honoring them, which means we truly aren't honoring ourselves and our own
Mhm.
value. You will not do good in business if you operate like that, or you
Yep.
will burn and crash at some point.
Yep.
Yep. Always comes back to bite you. I don't know what to
It
tell
Yep.
you.
always does. It always
There it
does.
is. All right, let's see. Oh, this is
Oh,
one
we
we
just did
just
that
did
one.
this one.
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, it didn't delete it out of the started ones. Okay, there we
That's all
go.
right. That's all
Beyond.
right. Hey, Dion, how are you, friend? He says, how can I create a toolpath to make a 10-inch long ramp slope from 3/4 down to 1/4 down in VCarve Pro?
Mark, didn't you make the toolpath ramp? Go ahead, Mark.
Fluting toolpath. I have
Yeah,
never made a video on the fluting toolpath, I don't think.
yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Um,
I made a simple one.
okay. There you go. I'm sure Garrett would post a link to it in the description when he's done.
Yeah, so yeah, Julian's going to
Perfect.
write it down so I have it. But yeah, just do a search for fluting toolpath,
Mhm.
FLUTING, on YouTube, and you'll see mine. It's kind of a cheesy thumbnail. Someone was making a soap holder, and they wanted to know how to drain the water off the soap holder, and
Mhm.
so he taught him how
Very
to flute.
nice.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah, it's very
actually
good.
really interesting that this question came up tonight because I have a friend of mine and he asked me about making, so like you go to Tractor Supply and they have those like windmill looking things, but then they have like wheels on them. So like it's a tractor and the wheels spin in the wind.
Mhm.
He asked me about making the wheels
Mhm.
and doing something like that where it would slope down, but like have it at you know what I mean? Like make the
Yeah.
wheel, but then have the blades of the
Mhm.
wheel spinning, like cutting down so the wind would catch them. I
Mhm.
was like, I am not sure. I would have to because he actually wants them for a train. So like each wheel would have to have 8 like spokes. And I'm thinking, how on earth would I do like 8 spokes? Would that have to be would you do a double-sided carve and then
I'd have to
I don't,
see what you have in mind. I'd have to see a
Yeah,
sketch of what you
yeah.
have
oh,
in mind. And
all
just,
right,
in case you want to make friends and influence people, those are called whirly gigs. And they're fun to
whirly
make.
gigs.
They're fun
Yes,
to
Um,
make.
that is. I do know yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about, but you put it
Mhm.
basically like on a big metal like stake and then the wind
Mhm.
catches it in the wheels and it kind of
Mhm.
spins it around. He wants me to make the wheels. And I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
okay.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from
Uh,
the other people's questions, but
a little more clarity on what a fluting toolpath is, what kind of cut it makes. A fluting toolpath allows you to come down into a slope. In Vectric, you can either come straight down on a slope and then finish out flat, You can come all the way down on a slope, straight slope, or you can do an arc on into a slope, or you can even go arc in and arc back out.
Mhm.
So I have made a bowl that had a nice big long slope like that, and I used a fluting tool path, but it was that was a pain because you have to make a fluting tool path follows a line, and so
One
you have to make
single line.
one single line. So I had to make a whole bunch of lines around a rotation, and it took a bit of work to get that to work.
Yep.
So, but that's what a
It
fluting
does
tool
take a bit
path
of work.
Yep.
Okay. So let's say this is from Norman. He says, "Hi Garrett, hi Mark. Got a question for you, Mark. Have you finished your 3-foot growing stick yet? The one you were tiling?"
No, I haven't, and it's 6 foot. No, I haven't. It's next up on the list. I've got to get this spinning wheel finished. We were just talking about that before we went live. I've got 8 more pieces I've got to work on. Then comes that growth chart. So this winter, I'll finish the project I wanted for the last spring. So
It'll be ready for next spring. There it is.
it'll be ready for next spring. That's right. I'm not behind for this year. I'm ahead for next year.
Right. I love your perspective. All right, let's see, who do we have up next? All right, let's see who we've got here. So it looks like we have Jack in the shop. Hey, Jack. Says,
Yeah,
Mark,
come
are you
on.
going to do one of those pumpkin pie plates?
No, probably not a pumpkin pie plate. And Jack is referring to Vectric released a video this morning, and he and I were both in the live premiere in the chat. And Vectric put out a video this morning. Todd made a 2-sided project. It was basically a carrier for a pie. If you've ever taken a pie over to family's house, you got to protect it. And you drop the pie down in it, and there was a lid that sat on it, and it shaped like a pumpkin. That looked really cool.
I saw
Oh.
that on the Vectric website. Yeah, like the October projects or whatever. It
Mhm.
looked really cool.
And so Jack was asking, am I going to make one of those? Probably not, but there was a lot of good information there for making a double-sided project that is basically a serving dish or a serving bowl. A lot of good info in that video. So if you're thinking about 2-sided machining to make a bowl or something like that, lots of good info in that video. And it is a free file download for that project. And the link is in the description of that video. So if you're not if you're not subscribed to Vectric's YouTube channel, number 1, shame on you. Number 2, do so. And they've got a lot of content over there. A lot of content.
Oh my gosh, I totally second that. I think that that's fantastic. If you guys follow along with their just website, they usually have like monthly projects. And then even in like the Vectric forums, they have like highlighted makers who are doing certain things. There's a lot of really good information out there. So don't shortchange yourself and just be on YouTube. Make sure that you're, looking at the Vectric support, or you're going to, like, if you're working with a particular what do you want to say, software, make sure you're checking out their website, learning, always keep sharpening your wheel, if you will.
Yeah. And
Don't just limit yourself to YouTube.
I think the Vectric support forum is probably one of the most underused resources out there, because there are people from all walks of life who use this stuff that are on that forum, and they're asking and or answering questions, posting projects, and there to help folks. There are some Vectric employees, but there are other people who are just casual users like you and me that are on there, and it's a good crowd. It's a good bunch of people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this is more of a fun comment from Jack. He says, Garrett, if the long mill CNC plasma blows you away, go check out my remote controlled lawnmower I built. Jack, I can't with you.
Jack, send me a picture, brother. I want to see it. Send me a little video of that thing in action.
My husband is going to be Jack when he's his age. I'm just telling you right now.
That's funny.
I'm so old that I remember when I was the remote controlled lawnmower, because all my dad did was sit back in the lawn chair and do that. No, over there.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny is when I teach in my one-on-one courses that I work with students when I teach step over, I refer back to how did your dad teach you to mow the lawn? Did you put your wheel on the line, or did you go like a tire and a tire and a half and then
I
step
have a
over?
plus or minus 10% tolerance.
See? Yeah,
I
but
have
I
a
mean
plus or
when
minus
we're teaching
10%.
step over, that's how we
Mm-hmm.
teach it. That's how we talk about it. It's resonates with a lot of people. So, you know. Anyway, all right, let's see, who do we have up next here? We've got Mark. He says, question, I work with Vectric desktop and work in millimeters. Do I need to use metric bits, or can I use the standard bits? Thanks.
Yes, you can use
You,
both. You can
you
use
use
either
either
or.
one.
Yeah, just so long as the shank fits the collet, and no, you can't put a 1/4 inch shank in a 6mm collet, and you can't put a 6mm bit in a 1/4 inch collet. Well, you can do anything once, but you'll never be able to do it again. So make sure the shank will fit the collet, but you can use imperial bits with metric tool paths. You can use metric bits with imperial tool paths. A couple of the bits I use, I had to get a 6mm collet for the spindle because they are metric bits. Works just fine. And the software knows it makes that conversion. So everything is just fine. You can use metric with imperial or imperial with metric. It doesn't matter.
It all depends on what's listed in the database. Vectric will do the calculations
That's right.
based on the size that's in the database. Yep. So have at it. Doesn't matter if you're working metric or millimeters. Either one will work with your projects as long as, like you said, you get the right collet in there.
Yep.
Billy McGee donated $20. Thank you, Billy. What he did is he pressed that little money symbol down below the YouTube video and contributed. So thank you for supporting Billy. Thank you. Doug, what do I get for starting the first in craze?
Folks saying that they're the first one in. What does he get for starting that craze?
Oh. So he was the master of it all. Boy, I don't know. We got to come up with maybe we'll send you one of the coffee mugs. All right. He probably already has one though. One of the IDC Woodcraft coffee mugs. We got one going out to Mark right now. You know what? This QR code on there. If you got one of these things, you can just scan it and it'll take you straight to the website. The one thing that was driving me nuts was every time I needed to get a bit, and then I had to go search for it and figure out what to call it. This is when I was new, and then now I got all these tooling companies. Where do I go to get it? Right. And so it came out with the IDC Woodcraft app for your phone. So everything is on your phone, even your settings and the feeds and speeds, the technical specs, and you can get your bits right off your phone. The IDC Woodcraft app, good for Apple and Android. When you get a bit from IDC, it'll give you a little QR code sticker you can slap right on your machine so you can scan it, and that'll take you straight to the website. Anything just to keep you off the computer, because it can be really confusing when you're doing that. So anyway, that's why you find QR codes everywhere on IDC. It's just to make it convenient.
Can I throw you another little nugget here?
Bring it on, baby.
In this latest update, I have Aspire version 11.554. You can now put hyperlinks in your tool database in the notes. So like if I have the hog, I can go to your page and I can copy the link off of the page and put it in the notes right there in the software.
I've done that. Yeah, so you can get the database off of the IDC Woodcraft website too.
Right, but you can put the link to that bit right there in the notes within the tool database, and then if you know, well, dang it, I need to get me a new bit, I can go right there in the tool database, click that link, it'll open my browser and take me to the page.
So it's actually a clickable link.
Yes.
Oh, no way! That's a nice little feature.
That's brand new.
Yeah, I've been putting the web address in all the notes for that particular bit, but now you can. Oh, sweet! That makes it
Now,
easier too. Right?
if you put it in the notes in your tool database,
Yeah.
is there a beta tester out there in the crowd who has downloaded Garrett's database? Open up your software and see if that link is clickable. Will it open a web page?
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Because if it does, you're so set.
Yeah, you are. Is that from 11.5 or
Just
one of
this
the?
most recent update that they did, 11.55.
Okay. All right. I got to install that. All right. That's cool knowledge to know about. All right.
Okay,
So
Jimbo Jones just asked. He says, yes, you already have the links in your tool database, and the link does work.
oh, sweet. All right.
So everybody that has used your database has a link to go to your website right there for that page.
As long as you have version 11.55.
55, yes.
Or higher. Okay. Cool. How often should we clean our bits? What do you recommend we clean them with? Well, what do you do, Mark? There, Kate's got it right there.
Kate's got it right there.
But yeah, I've actually seen that stuff. Kate, your audio is your
I think you
audio.
muted yourself.
Yeah, you might have muted or I can't hear you talk. Your lips are moving, but no sound's coming out.
Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying.
hold that up, Kate. I'll get a blade rotated a little bit. Blade bit the other way. Blade bit. All right, let's see if we can go find that stuff. What do you use, Mark?
Resin gum and pitch remover. I'm cheap. Isopropyl alcohol. $6 a pint. No, excuse me, $3 a pint.
Okay. All right. I was looking for it on Amazon, that blade bit stuff, but it's not showing up. So, okay. And then I've heard what, kerosene? No, mineral spirits, right? Does mineral spirits break pitch down?
Yeah, but you have to soak it like overnight. I also used to use VMNP naphtha, but that's a lot. I don't know. I don't like to get into the chemicals or solvents if I can avoid it. Right. But this evaporates so quickly, and it's the 91%. I take that denture brush. I use these little portion cups that I get at the U.S. chef store, and just drop the bit in there, scrub a little bit, rinse, blow it off, and move on. And how often? Before I just, first of all, I take my bit and the collet out when I'm done for the day. Just as soon as it's finished, it comes out of the spindle. And I just look at it. And if it looks gummy and cruddy, it's time to clean it. If it doesn't, I don't bother.
Right. Yeah. If you start to see any pitch buildup on the bit, it's time to clean it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pitch is sap, right? They're the same thing.
Yep.
And what happens is it heats up, it turns into this shellac kind of stuff, and it dries up and it turns into shellac stuff. And it's very, very hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I just released to another thing to the insiders. I didn't release this yet to the insiders. This chart that's going to be coming out, and I'll make it available to everybody else soon. But I put together a checklist, right? A startup checklist. So that every time you ready to go, you check everything down this list, and if everything's checked, then you should be good. It's and that went out to the CNC insiders, and I'm going to make a pop-up on the website so anybody else can get it. But it covers your material checks. Make sure your material's the right size, your design, the thickness, your router bit checks. Get your router bits in order. Inspect them. Make sure they're clean, right? Make sure they're sharp, and some other things. And your start point checks, making sure X, Y, and Z. I have set my X, Y, and Z, and I've seen other people do it. The machine didn't take it. All right, so there's a verification on this thing too. Have you ever run into that, Mark? Kate's nodding her head. She's run into
I
it.
am totally supported by checklists, and I live by the mantra: double check, triple check, measure, cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I can forget something, I will. I couldn't tell you what I had for dinner last night. I ding dong
Mhm.
sure don't remember if I homed the machine. So I'm gonna go back and check.
Yeah. Yeah. I even put a section on our final checks where you're double checking
Mhm.
everything that you already checked.
That's
All
right.
right. So that'll be made available soon. Insiders, CNC Insiders already got it. So who are CNC Insiders? Those are the people that are on the IDC Woodcraft email list. And that there's, I believe I got a link for that in the description of this video. If not, then you can get on it on the website. But check the description of this video, and then you'll get that. I got a bunch of emails come out about tips, how to protect your bits, and lots of other things. There's so many tips. Every time someone asks a question, I create an email. All right. No, Kate, say something. Nope, we still don't have you. You might have to go with the speaker on your computer. So,
Three
all right.
syllables. First syllable sounds like. No, that's not. We can't do that.
Well, that's the life of being on this end of what we do. We get the technical issues. It's not fun. We panic. It's like, oh, what are we going to do? But it's just life on this end of doing what we do.
Yeah.
So, question from Dwayne. What's going on there, Dwayne? I haven't seen you in a little while, brother. Can the hog and the beast be used as a roughing bit on 3D carves before the ball nose bit is used? Absolutely. Matter of fact, I encourage it. So the reason I came out with the hog is
You have?
still can't hear you. You can't hear me?
Mm-mm.
Can you hear me, Mark?
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
I hear Garrett, but I don't hear Kate.
Okay. Kate, no. Nope. Okay. All right. So the reason I came out with the beast and the hog, I got to get them. Hold on. I'm gonna just
All right.
grab them.
I step away all the time. Jimbo Jones just did a $10 super chat to help Kate get rid of AOL. Now, come on. I use an AOL email address. Yes, I'm old.
I used it too.
I still do.
Do you?
Yeah, for my
Yeah.
personal email.
I'm gonna bring the beast and hog up on the website for those that don't know what this bit is, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So I just got to bring them up first so we can see what they look like, and then I'm going to share screen. So what we're going to be looking at, we've gone to IDC Woodcraft, and we are going to the product page for the hog, which is called a roughing bit. It's this ugly, gnarly looking thing that chews up wood like there's no tomorrow. This is the hog, and then the beast is another roughing bit that is shorter than the hog, but it's the same basic design. And what that is designed to do is remove wood really, really fast. Working on jobs can take, when you're clearing out a lot of material, like in a bowl or doing a deep pocket cut, the number one, you're using the 40% step over on your straight, clean bits, right? The spiral bits that have nice knife edges on them. And all that work is wearing your bit. And so when you get a roughing bit in there to do all that removal work, these can go a lot faster because number one, you've got a higher step over rate. These are run at 80% step over and a much higher feed rate. It's just ripping wood out. You don't need to worry about delicate cuts.
Yeah.
And then you come back in, you just leave a little bit of material on your finish edge, and that nice clean cutting router bit will leave a nice surface on there. And what you're doing is you're sparing the life of that bit. So you're getting two benefits out of it. You get through your project a hell of a lot faster. And by clearing out all that roughing. Oh, by the way, Mark, we have, along with your coffee mug, you are getting a beast. So you can play around
Oh,
with
well,
it.
thank you, sir.
Aw.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Say something, Kate.
Can you hear me now?
Now I hear
Oh, she's here.
You know, I was starting to sweat it. I was thinking I was gonna have to throw my jabbers out, but I'm like, they've been working perfect, so I'm hoping and praying that they're not. But
Right.
I did want to make a really quick comment to Dwayne. I actually did I have two big 3D carves I did this week, and I used the hog on both of them, and it literally cuts my time in half on a 3D carve. Like it's insane. And actually, the other bit that I use on top of that is I'll use the beast or the hog. Usually I'll use the hog, and then I'll use the silver bullet, the 3/16 because it's between the eighth and the quarter. So I'll like run that quite a bit as a secondary toolpath, and then I'll go in with my ball nose and do cleanup, and it works so beautifully because I won't say I use my 3/16 a lot, but I really like to keep it in reserves for my 3D carves for those particular reasons. So I know it's always really sharp, but every time it's a game changer. Every single time.
Yeah,
Saves my bits too.
there's no finesse involved in that. It just moves material right stinking now, mister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's its purpose. All right, we've got 28 questions, so we got to start bugging through these things.
Oh, goodness.
uh,
All right. So we've got a
yeah.
great question from Nell, or Nell E. Says, can CNC bits be sharpened? This is a great question. I'm going to let Garrett take this one since he is the bit man.
I'm the bit man. So CNC router bits can be sharpened, but there is a trade-off at a certain size of bit. And that is when you're getting down to 1/4 inch diameter, it's getting a little tougher to do. And the trade-off and the cost of sharpening the bit versus the price almost is the same price as a new bit. So
Yeah.
most sharpening companies won't touch 1/4 inch bits, but you can get to, if you're going to 3/8 or higher, then you can go out and get them sharpened. There will be a little
Yeah.
bit of a benefit. The thing with sharpening that you got to remember though is you are removing diameter on that tool, so it's going to change the diameter of the bit. So when you use it back in your in your database, you got to change the diameter there. And then if you go ahead and replace that, you have to remember to change the diameter back again.
Yes. Most tool
It's a lot.
resharpeners will mic the bit after it's sharpened and give you a true diameter reading of that bit.
Mhm.
And generally speaking, what we used to do at the last cabinet shop I worked at was we would just take a black Sharpie or magic marker to the butt end of the bit. And just so we had them color coded, it may be black, it may be red, whatever. So we knew which bit this was and what the diameter was and how many times it had been sharpened. And as you
Good idea.
alluded to, Garrett, you don't need to sharpen a bit more than once before you have basically paid for a new bit. So is it possible? Yes. Is it economically feasible? Probably not. It's better off just going ahead and getting another bit. Now, on the other hand, if you have the bits with the brazed carbide flutes, those can be touched up. I use a diamond plate on the flat face, never on the bevel, but on the flat face on the back. I will take that diamond plate and just kind of dress it up to
I've done that a
because
couple times too.
I'm not touching the angle, but you can dress up those bits. You can use a whetstone. I just use a diamond plate, the same diamond plate I use to flatten my whetstone, my sharpening stones, and it works like a champ. So
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Good to
can't
know.
use a regular knife sharpening stone to sharpen those bits though, because it's not hard enough. You
no,
need
it's not.
you
That's
need
why I
you need
use.
the, yeah, diamond or the green stone.
Mhm.
Yeah, Woodcraft sells a really nice one. I've got one myself, so
Yeah, I should
yeah,
probably start sourcing that a little bit too.
yeah. All right, so we've got a great question from Thomas. Question, using the drag bit, how do you come up with the pressure for engraving? You know, it's really funny that this question came up because this was actually a really popular question in our Thursday morning chats that we have in my Facebook group, Women Who CNC, and they were asking a lot about drag bit, cutting acrylic. We talked about O flute bits and how to use those bits and what they're used for. But the nice thing about Garrett's drag bit is it has that, is it like a, I don't know that I want to call it a spring in it, but
Yeah,
what
yeah, it's spring loaded,
is it? Okay.
so it
The
floats.
Widget Works, I think is what the name of it is, the
Yes.
one. Okay. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, so as far as the pressure, I've not worked to a point where they actually use pressure, like a load cell to set your pressure. Right, a load cell is something electronically can detect how much pressure is being applied. So we have this spring loaded diamond engraver though that has a half-inch travel, right? So you can lightly set it down on the material where it's just like a 0.01, and that would be considered very, very light pressure. Um, if you have deviation in your material, though, it's going to travel over that deviation and come back. Um, it- so, as far as setting pressure, I have not done that. Mark, have you worked with the engraving pressure set in the Vectric software?
Very, very little. And if you go to the quick engrave toolpath, you'll see where you set the pressure there. I've done a couple of things with the diamond drag bit, but not enough to really say much about it. I need to get back into it and do a lot more. I went with the pressure 0.06, and that basically covers any unevenness. But it
Okay.
leads a pretty heavy line.
Mhm.
If you need a little bit lighter line than about a 0.03, 0.02, as you were talking about, 0.01 is a very, very light pressure. And you may you may think what you're cutting is smooth, but when you see looks like skips in the line you're trying to engrave, you see that your material isn't exactly all that smooth. Um, do not attempt to set your Z0 with a touch plate. They are not
No,
conductive. You will make a major mistake.
you'll break the diamond off.
Basically, uh, and you can break that diamond off. I set a piece of paper down on the material and brought it down until I saw it made contact and just kind of moved a little bit. Manually set my Z0, then backed it off, and it's not as nitpicky as a V bed or a tapered ball nose or an end mill or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that spring is going to take up a lot of slack, and it's pretty
Oh,
forgiving.
that's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this one, you get a second spring. You got a light duty spring and a heavy pressure spring.
Mhm.
Um, I don't encourage the fixed diamond tips.
Mhm.
All right, there are non-spring loaded diamond engravers that don't do this. They are
Yeah.
not forgiving.
No,
They are
they are
not.
not.
And if you got unevenness in your surface, that can put too much pressure on the tip itself and cause the
Mhm.
glue to give way that's holding the diamond in place.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can chip that sucker right off of there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Let's see. So we've got Johnny King is up. He says, "Hi, I am on disability due to losing a leg a year ago. Garrett, what is the best free site for 3D and 2D? Don't hate me. Don't hate on me, but I just got a steal for a Fox Alien. Please help."
Well, first of all, I hate no one. Hate is a word that's not in my dictionary.
Nope.
Right? What are the words I told you I don't say? And if I say them, I catch myself right away, Kate.
Hope, wish,
Try,
yeah.
maybe, someday. I don't use those words. And I don't use hate. I don't use can't either. Um,
I do.
but
I'm
yeah,
retired. Don't listen to me.
right,
We have
right.
an envelope in our house for my kids when they say I can't. I say, okay, put $1 in the I can't envelope. by the end of the week, I usually have a good little stash to go do whatever I want to do.
Now, does
Yeah.
that count if they say I can't because you won't let me?
No, of course
Okay.
not. Of course not.
Just
I mean,
wondered.
come on.
Just clarifying.
No, like if they say I can't solve this problem, or I can't do, two things at once. Well, you're gonna learn. Today's the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mean to miss this
Yeah. So
question, but
Johnny, first of all, the for losing your leg, that has to be a challenge for you to feel for you. So
yeah.
it's as far as the free sites. So I get these questions a lot. So does Kate. So does Mark. What are the best sources to get all this stuff from? The best thing you do is type in free, right? Free STL files or 2D files. Go to Etsy, where you can buy them cheap, right? Or in the Facebook groups, there's often file sharing, and you can get them from there. Again, we
That's what I
talked
was
about
gonna
before.
suggest.
What's that?
I said that's what I was gonna suggest, was maybe Facebook, if somebody had, created an STL or something that they wanted to share,
Yeah.
just for goodwill for the community, that would be a really good place.
Yep, yep. So, like CNC Entrepreneurs Facebook group. If you're a lady, join Kate's Facebook group, Women Who CNC. It's for women only, and
Yeah.
there'll be file sharing in these groups, and you can go find files there. Mark, you want to share on this?
I don't want to be that guy, but I've got to be that guy. The best site for 2D and 3D is right here. You have more ideas than you think you do. Invest in yourself and start getting those ideas drawn. I mean, everybody who is running a CNC nowadays has been exactly where you are
Mm-hmm.
at skill level wise. Maybe not physically, but skill level wise, everybody has been where you are right now. And a year is going to pass, whether you invest in yourself and start using the software and learning the software or not. The quicker you start, the better you'll be by the end of that year. A
Yeah.
year is going to pass whether you do it or not. Would you rather be with a year of experience or not? I spent countless hours just drawing my name in different ways, both with fonts and freehand, and using different geometry it's real easy to click draw text and type in my name. And I learned some things about that, but then I got in and I freehand drew it. And then I took a square, and then I took another rectangle and I angled it and joined it and edited it and cut it and made my own.
Yeah.
It didn't look pretty, but I learned how to use it.
Yeah. Something I was going to recommend too, was there's a really good repeatable process that you have here. So if you have a Fox Alien that you like and that you want to do, and you feel like you could maybe make a few bucks on it, make some of those, sell them to maybe other people that would like those. Generate yourself a little bit of a nest egg. So then that way you've sold a few, make a little income on those, and then you can buy another model, and then maybe you have yourself a little scalable business where you're making certain types of products, and then that way you can just eventually start to generate some income off of those projects and those models that you're making, and then eventually you'll be in business and you'll have yourself a good little side hustle.
Yeah, this model right here. There we go. That was I did exactly what Mark said. I played around until I came up with this very cool welcome sign, right? And so now this is a digital product on Etsy, right? And those who buy the starter set, they also get this file as part of that, and the complete starter set that IDC Woodcraft sells, right? You get like 7 different files too, but this is exactly what I did. I played around until I was, oh, that looks kind of cool, and
Yeah.
it just took off from there.
Do either of you use a site called Wordmark?
Wordmark.
Yes. Basically, it is a website that tells you what fonts you have within your computer.
Well,
It's like a actual, like it was it called like a widget that's
well,
like, or
it's a browser extension that you put into Chrome, and you go to that site, and there's a blank up at the top, and you type in whatever it is you want to, like Garrett's welcome for that sign. You type it into that, hit enter, and it writes out welcome in every font you have on your computer. So
yeah.
you can go
Oh,
through and scroll and see, oh, I like that one, click on it. I like that one, click on it. Then you can filter through all the ones you like and make your decision from there and say,
Yeah.
okay, I want that.
Defont has the same
There you go.
Defont has the same thing, and that's really, I really personally like Defont. Yep, that's it.
Now, you haven't downloaded and installed the
oh, okay.
the extension, so it's showing you in Microsoft fonts.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
all
It
the
came
fonts that
with-
are on your computer will pull it up once you download the extension.
Right, you
Okay.
have to use the browser extension.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's pretty
Ah,
cool.
great. Yeah.
All right, well,
Word.
let's truck on through some of the rest of these questions. I'm still
Yeah,
looking, and
a
we
bunch.
now have 30 questions, y'all. We have been answering questions right and left. You guys are throwing some good ones at us tonight. So next up, we have Raymond Dixon. It says, can you do a positive or negative offset?
I
Yes.
think that was in regards to another question,
Oh, okay.
but I don't remember which question it was, what it was about.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you can. Yeah, we answered this in another one of our things. This is a video here, but yeah, you can put a positive number in. It'll offset. How does it determine that offset? Which side, Mark? But you can put a negative number in too.
So
Yeah,
is it
you can use
the
a positive
allowance
or a negative.
offset is right underneath where you're doing like your profiling? Is it?
There are several different offsets within the toolpaths. There's an
Mhm.
allowance offset in the profile. If you're cutting to the outside or the inside. But again, when you look at the vector, go into node editing, you'll see a green point. That's your start point. Then look right next to that green, you'll see an arrow, and that's pointing the direction. So stand on that. Imagine standing on that point and looking in the direction of that arrow. And if you're cutting to the outside, it's going to cut to the right, to your right. If you're cutting to the inside, it's going to cut to the left. So if you're doing a negative offset, I just confused myself. If you're doing a negative offset, it's going to move further to the right. If you're doing a positive offset, it's going to move further to the left. So,
Okay.
that
Yeah, the
hurt.
offset can be a little screwy. I might do
Yeah.
a video on that.
And that's only one of the offsets. There are many others.
Yes.
So,
Yes. All right. So we have a great question here from Kenny. He says, does anyone here use Carveco Maker?
Yeah. There's not a lot of users for Carveco, and there's not a lot of content on YouTube for Carveco. At least, so we're Vectric users, so we don't search for it. But I did run across a guy that actually has a course for Carveco.
Oh, that's
I don't
cool.
know what his name is, but you just do a search Carveco Maker course, and you'll find it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we've got a very nice gentleman, Jim Pitts. Thank you, Garrett, for the checklist. Good work.
All right.
Very
Yeah,
generous.
he's got to be on the CNC Insiders list. And in fact, I sent the checklist out yesterday, and several of them said you forgot to put check the speed setting on your router on the checklist.
Oh yeah,
And I said,
that's a big
"Oh,
one.
okay." So I had my designer fix that real quick and got it back out to him today. And
Very good, very good.
thank you for the donation, Jim.
All right, so this is a great question. Not a lot of people focus on. But Mark, he says, how many people think about safety using your CNC machine? Example, safety glasses, hearing protection. Every day, baby.
Oh, I've got it all over the place. Now, it's funny. I'm wearing these. I can't find my regular hearing protection.
You know, I have my safety glasses are right here. Well, my headphones are. Yeah, we're all like, hold on, wait, hold on.
Reading safety glasses, reading glasses.
I love
Yeah,
my work tunes. They're Bluetooth.
there's my
These are
safety glasses, but I don't. Where is my hearing protection?
on your ears.
No, this is not the set that I wear.
That's something I do. What I wore. Y'all are gonna have a good laugh real quick. I was working on my CNC and I had my glasses
right there.
and I went like this and I put them on my head and I went in the house and I got in the car and I could feel them on my ears and I went to go drive and I went like this to put them on and I'm like, oh, yeah, those are not my sunglasses.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just a part of me.
At the end of the day, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
There is my hearing protection, and I keep it in a plastic bag because we have black widow spiders.
Oh.
And I don't want a nasty surprise.
Okay, so y'all can see right here is
Mhm.
right here is my respirator, hangs on my wall. I had a spider in my respirator the other day.
Gallon-sized Ziploc bags.
I think I'm gonna have to like get a bag or something because I
We had to
literally
see
went. I had it like over my head, and like out of the corner of my eye, I saw like a little black like thing, and I literally like ripped it off my head and flung it, and it was one of those big, furry wolf spiders.
Yeah.
Ugh.
We have black widows out here, and that's not a fun thing to find.
No. My
Let's
husband
be
was
that way.
bit by one of those years ago.
Watch
and
out.
it
We
was-
might have a CNC Spider Woman on our hands.
Oh, thank you. All right. This says TME net, cutting a guitar neck, and I had problems with a long straight pocket for a truss rod. The wood was birch, and during a rough cut with 1/4 inch upcut, most chips were long stringy pieces. What causes this?
Birch. That some birches will do that. Some birches cut nice and clean chips. Some birch, not all birch is created equal. It depends on what subspecies it is. It's kind of like saying maple. Hard maple will cut nice, beautiful chips. Soft maple can do that. It can also be stringy at times. But birch it's a nice, dense hardwood, but it's kind of unpredictable.
Agreed.
It's personally for guitar necks, I love hard maple or sapele or walnut, but sapele and hard maple are my favorite.
Very cool. All right. So let's see. We have a Mr. Bob here. Any suggestions for keeping 1/4 inch plywood flat while cutting patterns with the 1/8 inch down spiral bit? Double-sided tape pressure does not give me a safe feeling when the bit goes. Safe feeling on the small bit is I have broken an 1/8 inch bit.
I am famous for my dislike of double-sided tape. I use blue painter's tape and CA glue. I have never had an issue. I use a wooden brayer to burnish the blue tape down to the spoil board and then burnish it onto my workpiece. CA glue, activator, done. I have never had it. It has never failed me once, not one time. Been doing it.
The only time it failed me was when
years.
I did the Beast video.
Yeah.
That was the only time it's ever failed, and I was running it at 100 inches a minute through some, I think it was cherry. So
Really?
that was
I've
the only
never had
time
it
I
fail
ever.
me.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because I was trying to not
Mhm.
break my router bit, but over on my YouTube channel, Rise and Shine Wood Signs, I
Mhm.
did a video on the Beast, and I used the CA glue, and it
Mhm.
did it. I mean, but I had it like all the way across it, and it was a decent sized piece, but it wasn't huge. But yeah,
The beast is gonna, you're running it hard. You're cutting out a lot of material. You're putting a lot of
deep.
force, and it's an upcut bit, so it's gonna have a lot of different
Mhm.
forces that are working against a holding down aspect. So
Yeah.
yeah, but at the end of the day, Mark's talking about using this stuff and this stuff right there, the accelerator. And there's several videos on CA glue. I suggest lots of videos. I suggest you go watch that and just make sure you put enough strips of tape down on your board, and you
And
just have
enough
to use
glue.
straps.
Make
I
sure you're using enough glue.
use the medium CA glue, and it depends on what I'm cutting. For like, I got a piece of plywood laying up there on the table now. For that, I would use screws. But I, 2 to 3 strips. You know,
So let me
just
show you.
I don't like clamps, so I don't use clamps.
This I just took
Mhm.
off my CNC bed.
Uh-huh.
It was a, now don't look at the finished product because it's not finished. But
Okay.
this is what I'm saying is like, this is probably 20
Nice piece of
inches,
wood.
Mhm.
2.5 inches thick. Yeah.
Mhm.
This is but this was held down with CA glue, and I have another piece that's almost identical to it that
Mhm.
was held down with CA glue as well. So if you're doing it right, it's gonna hold.
Mhm.
I just wanted to show that, so it's not like meant for
Yeah.
just, people
Mhm.
think that it's like little dinky pieces of wood or not very big, but
No,
it can
that's a
hold down
moose.
some good stuff. That's
Yeah,
a big piece.
that cutting board I just did, the 16 by, what was it? 16 by 24, 2.5 inches thick. I used painter's tape and CA glue to hold that down through every step of the operation.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a good question. Garrett, are there plans to add cedar to your app for feeds and speeds, preferably Eastern red cedar? Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So on the IDC Woodcraft app, which is free, you can get it for Apple or Android off the app stores. In it, there are selections for various different wood species, but there are hundreds and hundreds of wood species out there, and we can't grab all of them without driving my tech guy nuts trying to get all that in there. So cedar may be one to add to that. We won't distinguish between Eastern or other cedars. Um, Really, it's the Jenga scale um, that we determine these on. So when it comes down to this, there's only so much that we will throw into that. But cedar is a fairly popular wood, so that should probably be added in. So
It's
thank
also a
you.
fairly soft wood, and I cut it quite a bit. It's easier to cut than pine is. Basically, I use the same feeds and speeds that I would use a hardwood. I really don't have much of an issue. Having said that, I've also on my setup, I can speed up or slow down the feed rate as it's cutting. So I generally speaking start with a pretty conservative feed rate, and then I start speeding it up until I get to where it looks or sounds like there may be a little bit of struggle there. Then I back it off a little bit and let it go. So
Yeah.
I may program 100 inches per minute and end up running it at 220. It just depends on the material, because no pieces of wood are the same. So
Yeah. What I may do as an alternative is create a table. All right. So you got woods that fall into this particular scale, which in general would be maybe pine. So you got 5 different woods that fall in that scale. Just cross reference. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one. But great question.
Yeah.
We're always working to update that. Has anyone got a good dust collection? This is from Sober
Saber
6.
6.
Yep. Anyone got a good dust collection attachment for the long mill MK2 using a surfacing bit? The diameter is so large, I'm afraid it will get into the dust boot. So probably using the 1.5 inch ultra smooth surfacing bit, which is taking up quite a bit of room in that dust boot. So if anybody knows of another dust boot for the long mill, then pop it into the comments.
Very cool. Let's see. So we've got, hey, Jack, it says I have VCarve or Vectric Pro. How many 3D models can I purchase and use, or do I have a limit on the number of imported projects? So Jack, I actually will answer this for you. I came across this particular issue on making one of these 3D signs that I just showed you, because in Vectric Pro, you can only have one 3D model at a time, importing an STL in. If you have a Spire, you can do multiple, but I actually had this exact problem because I had an Ohio State logo and a Cubs logo I wanted to do on both sides of this, or on, either side of the sign, and Vectric Pro would not allow me to do that. So, Mark, do you know any different? Oh, I think you and I did talk about this. There's ways to like hack the system. Actually, it was last Sunday. I
Yeah,
asked on your live.
Michael Mazalik put together a series of videos. If you go to his YouTube channel, Michael Mazalik, Mezalick, and but it's a pretty complicated process. It does work, and it also depends on the type of file. If it's an STL file, an OBJ file, something like that, you can import one per project. If it's Vectric, clip art, or clip art you got from Design and Make, if it's a 3D clip or a V3M file, it's unlimited. You can use as many 3D files as you want.
Yeah.
But if it's an imported, like an STL or OBJ, you're limited to one import. And you can use as many clip art files from your 3D clip art. You can use those in conjunction with that STL file as well. So,
yeah, yep. As Michael said on your live, he said, Kate, the best thing to do is to upgrade to Aspire because it's not easy. It is a rather difficult process. He said, it is doable, but love the drive to want to do 2 models, but just upgrade to Aspire and be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a good question from Carolyn. Hey, lady. Mark, if you don't use G-Sender, what do you use?
I use Mach 4. I use the Avid CNC profile for Mach 4. My other machine, my Gatton CNC, I used Mach 3. Mach 4 I find to be, they have simplified the interface, put controls in a more easily accessible location, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I don't use either one of those. I just use my interface with my Onefinity. I don't have to do any type of control, beep, boop, 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 Space Cadet business on a control. The Masso controller is the same way. For the new Elite. You just have it all on one system. There's no like separate controller. It's just, it's just what it is.
I like the versatility.
Yeah, right. I get that.
Guys, I am going to have to bug out.
Nobody likes a quitter, Garrett.
I know, but sometimes when you got somebody in waiting,
yeah,
no one out there is going to be kissing me.
Well, true that.
Well, probably not.
Right, but I got about 5 more minutes here. So.
All right, this is a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I'll just tell you what I use. I use the Nighthawk um dust collection system for the Onefinity Journeyman. I really like it. Here I can actually grab it because I actually was doing some laser work today, so I can show you what I'm working with. But this is the Nighthawk dust boot. I love this thing. They do make a 4-inch piece, but I like it because my hose comes down directly onto it. This piece comes off here, and then they have this clear acrylic. And the reason that I use this one in particular is because I do a lot of epoxy, and I liked the fact that when it came up through the bristles here, it comes up and there's all this space. Like I can almost get my whole hand. Well, I can get my whole hand in there. So there's plenty of room. Bristles come off. They come with a 2 and a 4-inch. Plus, I also like this because this stays attached to my router. So if I do need to get in there and change a bit, I just clip it on there, adjust the bit, raise the bit up, then clip this piece on. And it's really easy. But this is the Nighthawk router. I'll link that in the show notes, if you will. So that's what I use. There you go.
All right. Yeah, mine is back there. I've got a couple for the Phantom. A couple people have sent me. I have not set them up yet to try them out. For the long mill, I have what long mill sent me. So, but my dust collection is right back there. Big green machine there. And you can see marks over his head. He has
Yeah.
a 6-inch. You have a 6-inch
Nope,
tube on
it's
it?
4-inch. It's 4-inch.
Okay.
I have the 2-horse Harbor Freight dust collector running into a dust deputy cyclone outside in the lean-to. It's outside of the building. Pipe runs overhead through a 4-inch hose, and it goes into a, I'm going to try to get this name right, Triceravac dust eater, it's called. It's
Alrighty then.
from a guy named Keith Moreland over on Etsy. His shop is called One Guy in a Shop.
Yes,
And
I've got.
he 3D prints these, and this thing is dynamite. No, you can't have it. It has 3 separate, that's why he calls it a Triceravac. It has 3 separate ducts that surrounds the bit on 3 sides, and it just sucks it right up.
Gone.
I mean, yeah, it just eats that those chips. They're just no problems at all.
Yeah. Yep. I've got the similar setup, just a comment like what Mark does. If you look at mine, try to get out of the road, but it runs from my Onefinity, and I actually have a shut off here, and I have a shut off over here, right here. I can actually pull that and close it, and then I have a vac that I can vacuum my shop floor and everything else. If I'm, as content creators, that's what we do. We have to sometimes take those dust boots off to show, and then it makes like a massive mess everywhere. So that's why I added the vac. But my dust dog is on the other side. It's in my pole barn, part of my shop where the saws and all the messy stuff is.
I don't know if I can reach this, but I'll try. I grabbed this clamp off of Amazon. You don't need any tools to take that clamp off.
Oh,
for
very
your
cool.
dust hose. And that is it also makes a great handle. You just saw me take it loose, and I can just vacuum everything up just like that, and then reach up, put it right back on, and I'm done. It's
very nice.
Great thing. Amazon, I think it was like $6.
I love Amazon. It's my favorite thing.
It's because it's so easy.
Michael, you're hilarious. Okay, so I do want to make a comment about my internet. So just so all of y'all know, so if you are not familiar with my situation, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I actually have a hotspot that runs my entire house. And so when I am out here in the shop, my family does not like me as much when I go in because I've hijacked the internet for 2 hours. I actually have to bring the little MiFi thing like most people get when they go on like a business trip and they put it in their briefcase and you always have internet with you. That's what runs my whole house. We don't even have access to, what is it, Starlink, the satellite. it's like not available for us. Like they just say it's coming soon. It's been coming soon for 2 years. So it's not available. So that's why my
All right.
internet sucks. But
Okay.
thank you, Michael.
Yeah. That was
I love your
good.
enthusiasm.
Harold, what about Vector's bitmap icon?
I think that was in reference to that question about converting a photo to vectors.
Mhm.
I think that was in reference to that. And yes, you can bitmap trace that way. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Bitmap tracing can be a little sloppy depending on the complexity of the picture.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I know you've got to take off, Garrett, but if you've got a minute, I'd like to share something with you that was
Yeah.
brought up last week with your guest talk in reference to epoxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Nate
you were
Wood was on that.
asking Nate Wood. Yes, I can't remember. I could not remember his name to save my life, and I apologize, Nate. Yeah. Share my screen with you here in Aspire. We were talking about calculating the volume of a vector. Now,
Yeah.
unfortunately, this only works. There are some limitations here. Let me just show you. I've got just my vector out here. Go over to the measure tool. And if you look down here, this is what everybody else uses up here in the measure, your distance and angles and everything. But if you click down here for span contour properties, then click this vector, you'll see a little section of it turns red, and then I got a red cross over here. But if you look down this way, it's telling you the area. This is 13.85 square inches. This circle is 13.85 square inches.
Okay.
All right.
So now we got an area.
So now you have an area. Now you can go into your epoxy calculator and add your depth, and that will calculate the volume of how much epoxy you will need to fill in this circle, for example.
Okay. So epoxy calculators, are they free online? You just go
Oh,
type in.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The one I use is from Specialty Resin. Specialtyresin.com, I think is what it is. But there are 1,000 epoxy calculators out there. Now, what I have asked, and this is a call to action, everybody out there who does epoxy work, what I have asked for is give us a little blank here where we can enter our proposed thickness. So if I want to pour a 1/8 inch of resin within this 13.85 square inch, let me enter 1/8 of an inch and hit calculate, and it'll give me the cubic inches. I want to convert from square inches to cubic inches. Let me enter my proposed thickness and let me find that diameter, find that volume.
And then go ahead.
The limitation is you can only select one vector at a time. So if you have 4 or 5 different shapes out here that you want to get a total for, you'll have to click them one at a time and write down each area, and then total them up and enter that into your calculator. Gotcha. So the call to action is write a letter to Vectric support and ask for a way to get the volume for a proposed depth and the ability to select more than one vector within the measure tool.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Do the calculators convert from volume to like liters or gallons?
Because you enter and like for instance, if I entered 13.85 square inches, it would then let me change that over to what would it be, cubic centiliters or something like that, or what would it be? CC cubic centimeters, milliliters.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happen when you calculate for epoxy.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay, boys and girls, we have been running for an hour and 50 minutes, and we have still 22 questions out there.
Sorry.
We hate leaving this without answering questions, but they will just keep coming and keep coming. But the good thing is next week, and I want a quick thing from everybody. We got 160 people on right now. Really quick. If you want to get Mark on more regular, let us know. Put a yes in the comment. I think we've had that
geez.
before.
Yeah,
And
you should probably do a poll. Let's do a
You
poll on YouTube.
you know
Yeah,
all you
we'll
have
do
to do is ask Garrett.
Right, I know. I want to say, Jim, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
another one for Kate. Kate, remind me, I got to send you a check for $15 now.
Oh, you guys, I hope you all know in good spirits. I am totally just razzing you about my internet. Yes, it is truly terrible. My kids would come out here and talk to you for 2 hours about how terrible it is. So I do apologize for if there's lagginess and the technical difficulties I was having tonight. We've been doing so good. I think Garrett like rubbed off some of his like technical difficulties over like he just like
Well, yeah,
went,
I got
here,
I
Kate,
got a
it's your
guy.
turn.
I got a guy that's fixing my stuff. Right? It's the love has got to pass on somewhere else now.
Yes,
It's
next
great
week
to have people, huh?
we'll just
Yeah,
pass it on to
yeah.
Mark. No, we don't. We'll just the buck stops. See, there's nobody else on my side of the screen, so we're getting rid of it. We're passing it on. It's leaving the building.
Okay, well, with that, we are going to bid everyone adieu. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, rest of the week. Make some amazing projects, and happy CNCing. We will catch you next Wednesday. Same CNC channel, same CNC time. Hasta luego.